I'm looking forward to this, Ross. I like introducing people to whiskey they've not had before. This is a lovely expression from the White Peak Distillery, from their Wireworks brand in Derbyshire. Have you had much Wireworks whiskey
I've had a couple
before?
of expressions, and I've got to say, I was really impressed with what I've tried so far. I don't really know much about the story or the distillery.
Yep.
And I think English whiskey is something that I have been discovering probably the last 2 years or so, because there is some really established distilleries
It's
now.
better than Scotch.
That's one of those things. You drink so much Scotch whiskey, every time I have a bourbon, I go, American whiskey's better. Anytime I have an Irish whiskey, blows it out of the park. It's just typical. But in theory, it really shouldn't be that different, should it?
No, like geographically, water source, water quality.
And Derbyshire, really good water as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the country, actually. Wireworks is a brand that Bevvy have worked with a few times, so we know Max and Claire at the distillery pretty well. We know they just love making quality products that people are going to really, really enjoy. So up to this point, I've never had a bad Wireworks.
Yeah.
I think Bevvy exhibited at a whiskey festival once, and we poured their inaugural release blind. So we had all these hardened whiskey drinkers at Hampden Stadium in Glasgow say, I'll try this whiskey. Like,
amazing.
That's bloody brilliant. That's, Springbank, that's Talisker.
You tell them it's an English whiskey,
Told them
what's the
it's
reaction?
a 3-4-year-old English whiskey. Even nearly threw me out of that place.
That's just goes to show the quality of the liquid then.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that initial scepticism that was maybe around a few years ago, of English whiskey, it sounds like a sick joke, is more or less disappearing, and particularly within sort of the whiskey circles that we are in.
I think in theory it can only get better as well, especially if you're pouring the inaugural release. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There's a big intrigue for non-Scotch whiskey now, whether Scandinavia are making a lot of noise.
Yep.
Most of mainland Europe have distilleries now, really. I mean, the French have drank so much whiskey, they're like, why don't we actually make it now?
Yep.
And so English distilleries should be quite good. I know of Bimber in London.
Yep.
But I've really enjoyed, in particular, the Lakes Distillery. I think they've been going for a few years now. And as I say, anything that I have had from White Peak Wireworks has been really tasty.
Yeah.
And this particular expression, I think you said this one's a port cask.
Yes, it's been
influence,
in bourbon casks and port casks.
I think I already know I'm going to enjoy it, because I quite enjoy an indulgent, richer style of whiskey.
Yeah, I think this is one of those jams where on paper it ticks so many boxes. So obviously it's a single malt. This one's also lightly peated. I know you don't love a smoky dram, but it is lightly peated.
That's interesting.
Bottled at 52.2% as well, so you'll probably add
a lot of water.
a lot of water, so I know you. But
So
it's
a peated English port cask
lightly
whiskey.
peated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a big.
It's not like an
smoky
Islay,
one.
okay.
No, not even close. But it's, from expressions I've had before, it's a level of smoke that just adds a nice extra.
A nice depth
complexion.
of flavour.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the
Good strength as well.
Spirit's always good. The casks they use at White Peak are always very good. They use a lot of STR casks as well, which impart really nice characteristics to the whiskey. So
You can often, I've found with STR casks, it can often give the impression of a whiskey being a little bit more mature at a younger age as well. That toasting and re-charring.
yeah, I think they use that very well. I've not had a single Wireworks, even ones that are 3-4 years old, that tasted spirity.
Okay.
And I think it's such an easy conclusion to make when trying young whiskies. Oh, it shows good promise and it's got good potential and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it tasted great as it is.
I'm worried for this because we're so excited for it. I think we're anticipating a really tasty dram. So
I think it's going to be great. So without further ado,
let's have a little taste.
crack this open and see what it's all about.
So they've been going for a few years now. So that's quite a well-supported distillery. Is it quite popular?
Yeah, it's very popular in sort of a local area.
Okay.
I think it's Derbyshire's first whiskey distillery in
Okay.
100 years or whatever. And the distillery is on the site of an old Wireworks factory, which inspired the
Hence the
design
name.
of the bottle. You can see it's got this kind of ornate design with the wires sort of twisting around. But yeah, everything they do, love it. So very, very excited.
I think I've seen a
to try
photo of the distillery right on the water as well.
Yes, yeah. There was floods a few months back, which got them a bit nervous. But the distillery's intact, everybody's safe. But yeah, a really beautiful part of the country and a great distillery to visit as well.
Nice to try something a bit different, a bit newer.
Yeah, we'll give this. Actually, should we look at the colour? You love looking at the colour. It has got a slight sort of pinkish hue to it, which you'd expect from port.
Port casks.
we'll move on from colour, shall we? On the nose, is there much of that kind of, is it a fruity sweetness you usually get from port? How would you
that
describe
kind of
it?
red berries. It's maybe some slight acidity sometimes, kind of bramble style.
Yep.
It's very. I mean, again, I don't get any of the lightly peated notes on the nose. So I'm expecting more on the palate, but really approachable.
Yeah.
It's not too light and it's not too rich. It really, you can tell.
I just think
the finish hasn't overwhelmed the spirit here.
Yeah, and everything's always in proportion from my experience with Wireworks. I'll give this a try.
Oh, I like it at the strength as well.
Yeah, which for you is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It's a pleasant spice.
Yep.
There is a little bit of heat. Really nice, clear, sweet port notes on the front. Still tasting it now.
It's quite like jammy, I think, in a really sort of pleasant way.
It's
It's
nice
not
texture as well.
Yeah, it's not a cloying sweetness. It's not. Sometimes you get that unpleasant sort of artificial, chemically sweetness.
I think it's just so common that we see high quality casks, you know, a really long finish just overwhelm what was in the whiskey beforehand. Or this is still quite consistent with, I've only had a couple expressions before, but it's quite consistent with the distillery character that I'm expecting.
Yeah, I think they're sensible as well. So obviously when you're launching a whiskey brand, it's easy to fall into the trap of, let's do a smoky one and let's do a sherry one, and you just throw everything at it and you get that extreme of flavour.
Is this a kind of small batch release? Or kind of sporadic releases?
Yeah,
from
but
the
generally
distillery?
the releases are maybe 1,000 or 2,000 bottles.
Okay.
This one is one of only 1,321.
Okay, so
pretty
vatting of
limited.
maybe a couple of casks.
Yeah.
2 or 3 casks maybe.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a port sort of finish or double maturation, I think to do a full maturation in port, it would be a big gamble.
It just tastes like any whiskey in port.
Exactly. And I think because they have got such a lovely distillery DNA with that lightly peated spirit, it still allows it to shine through the fact that it's just been in port for some of the time.
Then, having tasted it, I think they get this a lot. Having tasted it the first time, the nose has improved drastically. It really is kind of red berries and kind of chewy berry style sweets as well.
Yeah.
I really like it. It is quite retro confectionery, which is something I like to give a port cask whiskey. I'm going to add water for research.
I'll do it. I'll join you so you don't feel too self-conscious.
Prediction for those watching is I'll like it more with water and Laurie will say it was better without.
Yeah, let's do it.
Only added a little bit there. It's much juicier on the nose. Really, again, it's really open from the first time.
Drowned it.
From the first time I tried it, it's really juicy. And port cask whiskey is something that I do enjoy. I think.
Are there any sort of classic port cask whiskies you go to?
I think I definitely would have started through just Glenmorangie Quinta Reuben because it was the consistent product that was port cask produced. I'm a massive Balvenie fan.
Okay, so we have 21-year-old.
Balvenie Portwood was kind of a eureka whiskey for me. Okay. That's a bit of a spoiled arse option, to be honest, 21-year-old whiskey, but especially because it was lower proof as well, it was very easy going. It was probably the first whiskey where I went, actually, that is a clear definitive port influence rather than just bourbon or sherry.
Sure.
But this is juicy. I think given it at this strength gives you this freedom to really play around with it as well.
Yeah, for once, actually, with water, it's different. I don't feel it's any worse. I think it just depends what mood you're in at the time. 52.2, did we say, isn't too much.
Yeah, glad we were
but obviously
I really like it with water. This is a whiskey that I've annoyed how much I like it almost. I could sit with water in this whiskey and drink it in an evening and be really, really content. It really is getting stickier and fruitier.
Is there much of that smoke coming through?
Honestly, no. I don't get much of the peat at all.
Yeah.
On the palate, but again, that could be that this is such a high quality port cask.
Yeah, as I say, it is just lightly peated.
Yeah.
The ppm I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's less than Highland Park. But it's there, but it doesn't dominate.
No, really, really tasty. Even better than I thought it was going to be, even though I already had high expectations. So thanks for letting me try it.
Yeah, I thought that was bloody good, actually.
Yeah.
So glad to...
Yeah,
I was going to say convert you, but you already liked it.
Well, this is it. It's one that if it was available, I don't know if it's available now, probably not, I would get a bottle of that.
Yeah.
It really is to my style.
Yeah, really tasty, and yeah, a great dram. So
Cheers.
Cheers.
Really appreciate it.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bevvy content. We want to hear what you think, your best whiskey experiences, the whiskies you want us to try. It's a really exciting journey we're on, so make sure to join us. Download the Bevvy app on Google Play and App Store to keep track of your whiskey journey, connect with your whiskey friends, keep track of your favourites, anything you could ever want to do with whiskey, all in one place. It's the definitive whiskey companion.